You're a Bengali newlywed and you need to make a fish curry. So here's how we're going to make it. Get handy, add in some oil. For this dish, I'm adding 2¼ spoonfuls of oil. Put it in a handy and let it heat up. Once your oil has heated up, add in 3 or 4 cloves of garlic. It doesn't need to be minced, it can just be cut like this. Fry off the garlic in the oil for a few minutes and make sure to stir it occasionally because you don't want it to burn. After a few minutes, you want to add in some onions. So for this dish, I had 2 medium onions and 1 small onion. And I just diced it. The onions I used are the brown onions. Give that a good mix. Make sure you mix it all into the oil. And then you want to add in some salt. So I had 2 teaspoons of salt, but then obviously you can adjust it to your taste. But the salt just helps reduce the moisture and also cook the onions a bit quicker. After you added your salt, give it a good mix and then just put the lid on. The flame is on medium to high heat. I'm just going to let the onions cook. But what I'm going to do is every few minutes I'm going to open up the lid and give it a good stir. This is just to make sure that the onions don't burn and it's cooked evenly. You'll start to see that the onions will change colour as well. And once your onions have reached that golden brown colour and it's soft to touch, then your mixture is ready. It also helps to mush the onions with a spoon like this and also mush the garlic. So once your onions start looking like this, you want to add in your spices. So I'm adding 2 and a bit more than ½ teaspoon of red chilli powder. 2 teaspoons is fine, but I'm just adding that little bit extra because I wanted it spicy. But this is obviously preference. If you want it less spicy, then 1 teaspoon should be fine. Then I'm adding 1½ teaspoon of haldi, which is turmeric powder. And then similar measurements for cumin and coriander powder. So I'm just using 1½ teaspoon for cumin powder. And also 1½ teaspoon for coriander powder. Now you want to cook off your spices. And that just means not having that gritty taste in your mouth when you're eating the dish. Give everything a very good mix. And if you need to, you can add a bit more water. But because of the amount of oil I had, it was fine. Once your spices start looking like this and the oil starts to separate, add in your fish. For this dish, I'm using coral mas. But any fish will do. Now, whilst it's still raw, just give it a good mix. Make sure you combine the spices with the fish. Because once it starts to cook and get soft, you don't really want to touch it with a spoon. Put your lid on and let it cook for a few minutes. Now you want to add in your vegetables. So I'm using baby potatoes, which is why I'm adding the potatoes in after I added the fish. But if you have baby potatoes, add it in before you add the fish because that takes a bit longer to cook. I'm also adding some tomatoes. I'm just using baby plum tomatoes, but any tomatoes is fine. And here I'm adding some coriander. Now because the fish is starting to cook and get soft, you don't want to mix it with a spoon. So you just want to lift up the handy and just give it a mix like that. Put the lid on and let it all cook. After a short while, you want to turn the potatoes around so that they cook evenly. And I've got the flame on medium heat. And again, you want to lift up the handy and give it a swirl. This is just to make sure that everything mixes well but doesn't break the fish. Now in this video, you'll see me do this method a few times, but I actually did this quite a lot. I'm just making sure that this dish doesn't burn and that everything is just mixed well. You'll start to see that the dish has dried up a little bit. And that's okay because if you prefer it like this, that's fine. But I just wanted a little bit more shira or sauce, if you like to call it. And this is of course up to you. If you want more saucy, then add more water. Now because everything is almost cooked, I'm just adding my garnishes in. So I'm adding coriander. This is fresh coriander. And about 6 or 7 green chilies. And I'm just going to give everything a very good mix. And with the wooden spoon, I'm going to gently turn my fish, making sure that none of the fish breaks apart. I'm also turning the potatoes slightly. And once everything's had a good mix, I'm just going to put the lid on and just let it cook a bit more. Now after a few minutes, I'm just going to check again, give it another good mix. And because I want more sauce, I'm just going to add a little bit more water. But again, this is up to you. If you are happy with the curry, then you can leave it as this. Or add a bit more water to make it a bit more saucy. Once I'm happy with the consistency, I'm just going to put the lid on and let it cook for another 10-15 minutes. And here it is, it's all done. Pair this with rice or whatever you want to eat it with. But this will definitely wow your guests.